My name is Natalie, and I am a typical 33-year-old living by myself in a snug little apartment. Today, I find myself seated at the dining table, gazing at my constantly ringing phone. I just can't muster the courage to answer it. It's Liam, my fiancé, trying to discuss when he might meet my parents, and just the thought twists my stomach into knots. Liam's persistent voice echoes from the voicemail. "Hey, Natalie, just checking in. We really should plan on meeting your folks soon. Call me back, okay?" I sigh deeply and my eyes drift across my apartment. It's simple but wholly mine, decorated with bookshelves and a small balcony that offers a view of the city skyline, a serene escape from my troubled past. Growing up was challenging. My father left us when I was 4, and I vividly remember watching him depart with his suitcase without glancing back. After he left, my mother grew distant, colder, and often irritable, and I seemed to become the main outlet for her frustrations. 3 years later, my mother remarried. My stepfather, Vincent, was genuinely kind and tried to bridge the gaps in our fractured family, but my mother's focus shifted entirely to my younger half-sister, Alice. She was the golden child, showered with affection that was never extended to me. Snapped back to the present by another ring, I see it's Liam again. This time, I pick up. "Hey, Liam," I muster a cheerful tone. "Natalie, I've been trying to reach you. So when can we plan to meet your parents?" Liam asks, his voice bubbling with excitement, unaware of my reluctance. "I'm not sure, Liam. It's complicated," I respond, my fingers nervously playing with a pen. "What's complicated? It's just dinner, Natalie. I really want to meet the people who raised my incredible fiancé," he insists. I force a laugh. "You wouldn't say that if you knew my mom. Well, she's a lot to handle." Liam falls silent for a moment before speaking again. "Is everything okay, Natalie? You know you can tell me anything." Taking a deep breath, I open up a little. "It's just that my mom and I don't really have the best relationship. She's always been very critical of me. It's nothing like your family." Liam's voice softens. "I'm here for you, Natalie. We'll figure this out together. Maybe it's time to face this, you know?" He's right, of course, but the idea of confronting my mother, of exposing Liam to her sharp criticism and cold nature, fills me with dread. "Yeah, maybe," I reply, not fully convinced. "Let's talk about it later. I need some time to think." "Okay, Natalie, I love you. You know that, right?" he says. "I know, Liam. I love you too," I answer. As I hang up, my mind wanders back to those early, difficult years after my dad left. They were hard indeed. My mom's world seemed to crumble, and her heartache manifested as anger frequently directed at me. I recall a particularly tough day when I was 6, laboring over my homework at the kitchen table. My mom was striding back and forth, her expression knotted with worry and frustration. "Natalie, can't you see I'm busy? Stop making that noise with your pencil," she snapped abruptly. Startled, I looked up. "Sorry, Mom," I mumbled, trying to quiet the tapping of my pencil. It wasn't long after that day that Mom met Vincent. He was different, kind and gentle. Mom seemed happier with him, but that happiness never seemed to extend to me. When Alice was born, I felt as if I had become invisible. One evening, I accidentally overheard Mom talking to Vincent in the living room. "She's just so difficult, Vincent, nothing like Alice. I don't know what to do with her," Mom said, her voice thick with exasperation. My heart sank. Even then, I understood she was talking about me. Vincent tried to soften her tone. "She's just a kid, Megan. She needs your love, not your disappointment." But Mom was relentless. "She reminds me too much of him," she said bitterly. That night, I cried myself to sleep, realizing I was not the daughter she had hoped for. As I grew older, the distance between us only seemed to expand. Around the age of 8, I tried to share a drawing I had made in school with her. "Look, Mom, I got an A on this," I said excitedly, holding up my artwork. She barely glanced at it. "That's nice, dear. Go show Vincent, I'm busy," she dismissed. But Vincent was different. He looked at my drawing and beamed. "This is fantastic, Natalie. You're talented." His praise felt warm, but it couldn't completely fill the emptiness left by Mom's indifference. Those years blurred into a continuous feeling of alienation, like being an outsider in my own home. Mom was always quick to highlight my shortcomings, especially during my teenage years. Her critiques were relentless. "Don't slouch," "That outfit is unflattering," or "Why can't you be more like Alice?" My teenage years felt like navigating a minefield, always cautious, trying not to trigger another bout of criticism or disapproval. I was 13 when her words began to truly weigh on me. One evening, as I was preparing for a school dance, I chose a dress I thought looked pretty good. Twirling in front of my bedroom mirror, I felt a rare surge of confidence. "Mom, can you help me with my hair?" I called out, stepping into the living room. Mom looked up from her magazine, her gaze sweeping over me. "You're wearing that? It's a bit snug, don't you think? You should watch your weight," she remarked sharply. Her words struck me like a slap. "I thought it looked okay," I stammered, my newfound confidence crumbling. Sighing, Mom stood up. "Let me do your hair. Maybe it'll draw attention away from your figure." I sat silently, feeling small and ashamed as she briskly styled my hair. The school offered little refuge. One day, while sitting with classmates at lunch, the topic of families came up. "So, Natalie, what's your mom like?" one of the girls, Janice, asked casually. I hesitated, unsure how to respond. Growing up under the watchful eye of my strict and exacting mother, life at home felt increasingly stifling. She was very particular about everything, and even a simple conversation could feel like walking through a minefield. "She's strict," I managed to say to my friend Janice, who sensed the tension in my voice. "Hey, it's okay, moms can be tough. Mine is always on my case about grades," Janice replied, trying to show empathy. I forced a smile, grateful for her attempt to connect, but inside I knew my experience was different, lonelier. The tension at home escalated as I grew older and began to take an interest in boys. One incident that stood out was when I invited Carl, a nice, funny guy from school, to come over and work on a project. We were in the living room, deep in discussion, when my mom walked in. She shot Carl a cold look, then turned to me. "Natalie, make sure you're actually studying and not just distracting the boy with your silly crushes," she announced, loud enough for Carl to hear. I was mortified. Carl looked uneasy, and the room filled with awkwardness. After he left, I confronted her. "Why did you have to say that in front of Carl? It was so embarrassing." Mom shrugged, unfazed. "I'm just stating the obvious, Natalie. Besides, boys like him aren't interested in girls with your build." Her words cut deep, and I became even more guarded about bringing friends home, especially boys. During those challenging times, I often found solace in Vincent, my kind and understanding stepdad. One evening with Mom out, I confided in him. "Vincent, do you think I'm unattractive?" I asked hesitantly. Vincent looked at me surprised. "Natalie, you are beautiful. Don't ever let anyone, not even your mom, make you feel otherwise." By the time I reached my early 20s, my confidence, particularly in relationships, had been severely undermined by my experiences with my mom. I remember dating Bruce in college, a sweet guy who genuinely seemed to like me. Despite my hesitations about my mom, I decided to introduce him to my family. The dinner at my parents' house started well enough with Vincent being his usual welcoming self, but Mom was, as ever, another story. She had a knack for offering backhanded compliments that could slice through the air. "So, Bruce, what are you studying?" she asked as she passed the salad. "Engineering," Bruce replied, smiling. "I'm hoping to get into renewable energy projects after graduation." "That's ambitious. Hopefully you're not biting off more than you can chew like some people," she said, casting a pointed glance my way, a clear jab at my past academic struggles. My cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Bruce tried to keep the mood light, but the evening spiraled downward from there. Every comment I made was twisted into a criticism by Mom. When Bruce and I were leaving, I apologized profusely. "I'm so sorry about that, Bruce. My mom can be difficult," Bruce squeezed my hand. Hey, it's not your fault, but it does make things a bit complicated, doesn't it? I knew what he meant. The relationship eventually fizzled out. It wasn't just about that night, but it reflected a pattern. My insecurity, fueled by my mom's constant belittling, made maintaining a healthy relationship incredibly challenging. A few years later, I met Liam. He was different, kind, patient, and utterly supportive, a stark contrast to the fraught dynamics of my past relationships. Liam has always had a special way of making me feel cherished, yet the scars from my tumultuous past were ever present, lurking just beneath the surface. One quiet evening at my apartment, as we discussed our future together, the weight of these memories became particularly palpable. Natalie, I love you, and I envision a future with us together, Liam said earnestly, holding my hands. I love you too, Liam, but I'm scared. My past, my mom, it's all so complicated. I don't want to drag you into my mess, I confessed, my voice tinged with worry. Liam looked into my eyes intently. Your past doesn't define us. Yes, it's a part of you, but it doesn't have to control our future. We'll face it together, he reassured me. His words were a balm. Yet, as the day to meet my parents approached, I was a bundle of nerves. Liam remained optimistic, trying to soothe my anxiety as we drove to my parents' house. It's just dinner, Natalie. It'll be okay, he reassured me, but my stomach churned with unease. We arrived and were greeted at the door by Vincent, whose warm smile offered a small comfort. Natalie, Liam, welcome. Come on in, he said cheerfully. Mom was in the kitchen, and as I caught sight of her, a familiar tension gripped me. She managed a polite smile for Liam, but her eyes seemed distant. Dinner's nearly ready. Why don't you both sit down? She suggested, gesturing towards the dining table. The atmosphere was strained as we all sat down. Vincent tried to lighten the mood by engaging Liam in conversation. So, Liam, what do you do for a living? Liam, unaware of the undercurrents, answered cheerfully, I own a company. We specialize in environmental consulting. I noticed a flicker of something in Mom's eyes at his response. Was it interest or perhaps even opportunism? It was hard to tell. That sounds impressive, Mom remarked, her tone suddenly more amicable. A company owner, no less. You must be doing quite well for yourself. Her words had an edge, and I felt a familiar pang of discomfort. The rest of the dinner proceeded tensely, with Mom alternating between subtly belittling me and praising my younger sister Alice, who wasn't even present. Every so often, she would steer the conversation back to Liam, inquiring about his business and future plans. Each time I saw that same calculating glint in her eyes, as if she was assessing his value not just as a person, but for what he could potentially offer. As we left that evening, I felt a mix of relief and frustration. The ride home was quiet until Liam broke the silence. Your mom seems interested in my business. A bit too interested, maybe. I sighed, feeling drained. Yeah, she has a way of evaluating people. I'm sorry, Liam. This is just how it's always been. Liam squeezed my hand, his support unwavering. We're in this together, Natalie. Remember that, he reminded me. The next morning, still reeling from Mom's comments, we were surprised when Liam's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Watching his expression shift from curiosity to shock, I tensed. Hang on, what did you just say? Liam asked, his voice rising in disbelief. From the other end, a faint, muffled voice responded, adding yet another layer of mystery to our already complicated situation. Liam hung up the phone, his face a combination of confusion and anger. That was your mom, he told me, his eyes meeting mine with a stern intensity. She just proposed something outrageous. A chill ran down my spine as I braced myself for his next words. What are you talking about, Liam? I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath before revealing, she suggested that I should leave you and consider marrying Alice instead. It felt like a physical blow, the words hitting me hard and leaving me breathless. She said what? I exclaimed, my heart pounding in disbelief. Liam nodded grimly. She said you weren't right for me and that Alice would be a better fit. She was serious, Natalie. I was dumbstruck. The idea that my mother would suggest such a thing was unthinkable. We need to do something about this, Liam said, his jaw clenched. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about exposing her for who she really is. Fueled by a mix of anger and determination, I agreed. We could record her saying it, catch her in the act, I suggested. Liam agreed. Let's do it. Let's show everyone her true colors. The plan was set. Liam would call my mom back, feigning interest in her proposal, and we would record the conversation. That evening, we sat in my living room, the phone on speaker. Liam dialed my mom's number, and I pressed record on my phone. "Hello, Megan, it's Liam," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Liam, darling, I'm so glad you called back. Have you thought about what I suggested?" Mom's voice was unnervingly sweet. "Yes, I have. It's an interesting idea, but I need to know, why do you think Natalie isn't right for me?" Liam probed. There was a pause, then Mom replied, "Oh, Liam, you're such a catch. You deserve someone better, someone like Alice. Natalie has always been a bit of a disappointment." My heart ached hearing those words, but I stayed silent, letting the recording continue. "We should meet and discuss this further, maybe over coffee," Liam suggested. "That sounds wonderful. Let's do it. I'll arrange a time and place," Mom replied, her voice dripping with eagerness. After hanging up, I felt a whirlwind of emotions, hurt, anger, betrayal, but also a sense of purpose. We had a plan, and it was time to expose my mom's true nature. The next few days were a blur of planning and apprehension. Liam and I were determined to catch my mom in her own game. He arranged to meet her at a cafe downtown, and I decided to be there disguised so I could witness everything firsthand. On the day of their meeting, I wore a wig and oversized sunglasses, looking completely unrecognizable. I sat at a table with a clear view of them, my heart pounding with every beat. Liam arrived first, taking a seat near the window. A few minutes later, my mom showed up, scanning the room before spotting Liam and walking over with a confident smile. "Liam, so good to see you," she said, sitting down. "Thanks for meeting me, Megan," Liam replied. "So, about your proposal," Mom leaned in, her voice low. "I think it's for the best. Natalie is not suitable for you. Alice, on the other hand, is perfect. She's everything Natalie isn't." I felt a lump in my throat listening to her words. Liam glanced in my direction, giving a subtle nod to indicate the recorder was on. "But why are you so against Natalie?" Liam asked, skillfully playing his role. Mom sighed heavily, a confessional tone in her voice. "Between us, I never really wanted Natalie. After her father left, she just reminded me too much of all the bad times. Alice is my real daughter, the one I care about." Under the table, my hands trembled as I listened to my mom's chilling, heartless words. It felt like a knife was twisting in my gut. Liam shifted the topic, casually discussing mundane things to keep the conversation natural while the recorder captured every word. After about 20 minutes, they concluded their chat with Mom looking oddly satisfied with herself. As soon as Mom left, I removed my disguise and joined Liam, overwhelmed by emotion. "I can't believe she said those things," I said, my eyes brimming with tears. Liam took my hands in his face a mask of sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Natalie, but now we have the proof. What do you want to do with it?" Taking a deep breath, I felt a surge of sadness mixed with fierce determination. "We expose her, Liam. At the next family gathering, everyone needs to know the truth." Liam nodded, his expression resolute. "We'll do it together. It's time everyone saw the real Megan." We left the cafe with a plan firmly in place, a plan to unveil my mother's true nature to everyone, especially to Vincent, who had been in the dark for far too long. The tension was palpable as we all gathered at my parents' house for what was supposed to be a routine family dinner. Unbeknownst to the others, Liam and I had a revelation planned that would change everything. As we sat down to eat, my mom, with a triumphant look in her eyes, couldn't hold back. "Natalie, I have some news. Liam has seen the light. He's left you and is now interested in your sister Alice." she announced, barely concealing her glee. Alice's smile widened across her face, a mirror image of Mom's smug expression. Vincent, sitting beside them, looked utterly shocked, his fork frozen halfway to his mouth. "What are you talking about, Megan?" Vincent asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Before Mom could elaborate, Liam caught my eye and winked subtly. It was our cue. I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and pressed play. The room fell silent as the recording of Mom's conversation with Liam filled the air. "I never wanted Natalie. Her father left, and she just reminds me of all the bad times. Alice is my real daughter, the one I care about." The words echoed through the room, every syllable crisp and clear. As the recording played, Mom's face drained of color, her eyes widening in utter shock. Vincent stared at her, his expression etched with disbelief. "What is this, Natalie?" Vincent stuttered, his voice laced with pain. I faced Mom directly. "That's you on the tape, talking to Liam. You're telling him to leave me for Alice, expressing how little you think of me." Mom tried to cut in. "Natalie, this is absurd. You're misunderstanding." "No, Mom," I interrupted, my voice calm yet firm amidst the inner chaos. "It's time you listened. I married Vincent out of sheer desperation. If it weren't for having Natalie, maybe I'd have found someone wealthier, more intelligent, more promising. She's always felt like a burden." The room fell into a dense silence as the recording stopped. Vincent turned to Mom, his face a blend of anger and heartache. "Megan, is this true? Did you really say these things?" he asked, his voice shaking. Mom, usually so composed, was speechless, her facade crumbling. Vincent stood, pushing his chair back abruptly. "I can't believe this. After all these years, I had no idea," he said, looking at me with sorrowful eyes. "I'm so sorry, Natalie." Mom found her voice, though it was frail and defensive. "Vincent, I didn't mean it. It was just talk." But Vincent was resolute. "No, Megan, this is unforgivable. I need to think." He left the room swiftly, leaving a profound silence in his wake. Mom broke down, and her composure shattered. Alice sat motionless, her eyes flicking between Mom and the door Vincent had exited through. Liam took my hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You did the right thing, Natalie." I nodded, a mix of relief and sadness washing over me. It's over. It's finally over. In the days after everything came to light, Vincent filed for divorce. I made the tough decision to stop talking to Mom and Alice. It hurt, but it felt like the only way to heal. Liam and I tied the knot in a quiet, cozy wedding. Vincent was there too, his tears both sad and supportive. He was all the family I felt I needed then. As I stood beside Liam, a new sense of freedom washed over me, clearing away the dark clouds of my past. I'd found true love with Liam, but importantly, I'd also learned to love myself. For the first time ever, I felt a deep, real happiness and a profound sense of peace.